Hi, and welcome back to KSU News. I'm Carly Willis, and I'm joined here by John Hart, who is a junior here at Washburn and also an Air Force veteran. So it's good to have you with us, John.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me.
Did you enjoy your Veterans Day yesterday?
I did. You know, I had to decide what I wanted to go eat free where, so it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yes. Why is it that you are a history major?
Oh, that's a tough question, Carly. It's one of those things, I've always had a passion for history. I think it's when a person is born, it's kind of instilled in them. And, you know, for me, a particular love of the Civil War. And I got my start when I was 14. And I had a history teacher that came in, he was dressed up and he had his officer's uniform and all kinds of stuff. And the uniforms were cool, I thought the history was cool, and that's when I decided this is what I want to do.
Very cool. And does that play into why you decided to join the military at all, or?
A little bit. I think it had more to do for me because I saw a lot of my friends that were in, you know, their mid-20s and early 30s, and they had $50,000, $60,000 worth of school debt. And the military offered me an opportunity to get the GI Bill, and I got $80,000 to go to school, so I don't have any, any school debts when I'm finished.
Well, that is wonderful. What has been your favorite part of being in the Air Force?
I suppose probably my favorite part was the interaction with people from not just here in Kansas or Missouri, but all across the United States and in a larger sense all over the world. I was able to deploy 4 times, and I got to meet and interact with people of completely different cultures, different languages. I mean, everything you can imagine being different was different. And that was really cool for me. So I really enjoyed that interaction with them.
Very nice. So I can't ignore your get-up. Tell me a little bit about what you're dressed up as and what you do with your involvement for Civil War reenactments.
Well, about 8 years ago, I started a Civil War group, the 13th Kansas Infantry Regiment. And it was born right here in Kansas. It is a historical unit. It was mustered in Camp Stanton, which is in Atchison, Kansas. And they served in Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, so that's kind of a little bit of the background. When I was 14 years old, I started reenacting. I was with the 6th Kansas Artillery. I was a powder monkey. I was the guy that ran the powder charges from the back all the way up to the cannon. And it kind of went on from there. I ended up in an infantry regiment, and then we started the 13th Kansas. And I really enjoy the uniform. I actually portray Colonel Thomas Bowen, who was the commander for the 13th Kansas, and they would have worn, this exact uniform. And I mean, it's, it's exact all the way down, the stitching. So some of the guys in reenactments, we call them stitch counters, and they can come up and they can spot, that button's not right, or, that stitching's not right. So you really have to pay attention to all the details in order to be able to make it real for people watching.
Sure. So was there a moment with your reenacting that this all became very real for you?
Yeah, I think every person, when they start reenacting, whether it's Civil War, Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II, there's that moment when you're on the battlefield. The guns are firing, for me the smoke was everywhere, the flag was waving, and the light bulb goes off, and you think, gosh, this is what these guys went through every day, all the time. They lived this. We just do it for 2 or 3 days at a time, maybe an extended weekend, but this was their lives. And it brings it home. It makes it quite real. So
that's wonderful. Well, if you're just now joining us here on KSU News, I'm joined by John Hart, who is a junior here at Washburn, an Air Force veteran, and also, as you can see, a Civil War reenactor. So tell me a little bit about your involvement with the Shawnee County Historical Society.
I'm actually on the Board of Trustees for the Shawnee County Historical Society. We operate the Ritchie House, which is on Madison, which is next to the Cox Education Center, which they are both phenomenal programs. We work a lot with the Brown versus Board. So yeah, it's fascinating. A lot of people take for granted, here in Topeka, the history that we're surrounded by, especially when it comes to the Civil War period, because you think about the 19th century and you think, well, all that stuff happened back east, all the big battles and everything. But a lot of people don't realize that the Civil War started here, right here in Kansas, between Kansas and Missouri. And the history is all around. You just got to know where to look.
Right. And also, I had heard that you were involved with the Clinton County Historical Society in Missouri. Is
Yes,
that correct?
I'm the president of the Clinton County Historical Society. We run a mid-19th century home as a museum, and then there's also a railway station that we have out there as well.
So is there anything big coming up with either of those historical societies?
The biggest thing right now for the Shawnee County Historical Society is just getting people involved. And a lot of people make the assumption that in order to be a part of a historical society, I have to be really into history. And that's not true at all. We have people, obviously, that have a passion for the history, but we can cater to anybody. If somebody has a particular interest in business, well, we need people to manage the books. We need people that run and track the day-to-day business expenses and things of that nature. So really, everybody has a niche as long as you have an appreciation, if not a love, for the history.
And you indeed do.
I do.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, John, for joining us. I appreciate your time.
No problem.
And we will be back after this.